You cannot take pictures of those cars. You can't take pictures of the inside of those cars because that's private property. And by doing such,
that's ridiculous.
I'm going to ask you to stop recording. I'm going to ask you to leave. And if you refuse to do that, then we'll take it up from the stuff from here.
What you're trying to do is violate my constitutional rights, and I'm not going to let that happen here today.
This man was simply exercising his First Amendment right to record in public. When these cops showed up and tried to demand his ID without any lawful reason, they claimed it was policy to identify him, but he knew his rights and wasn't about to let them trample all over them. Instead of backing down, he schooled them on the law, shutting down their attempts to intimidate him. In the end, the officers had no choice but to walk away. Another classic walk of shame for the books.
What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you? Good.
Lieutenant Coke, South End Police Department. What we help you with?
No.
No?
Your name is Sergeant?
I'm Lieutenant Coke with the South End Police Department.
And your name, Sergeant?
Jeffy.
Thank you.
I just got a call saying you're kind of walking around, like taking photos of people's tags and in their cars and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I'm a journalist. I was just gathering content for a story. I'm taking pictures of like the different license plates and stuff.
So, taking personal license plates and government tags, or?
Well, I don't know what's the difference between personal and government. Some of them say
government, one doesn't.
Well, one of them over here says law enforcement on it, so I don't know. You know what I mean?
Are you from Mississippi or?
Oh, I'm not from the area. No.
Where are you from?
I don't want to answer that. Don't want to answer that. Yeah.
Who do you work for? We're journalists.
I'm independent, meaning that I work for myself.
Okay.
That's
Do you have
correct.
ID on you?
No, I don't have any ID on me, no.
You don't have any type of form of identification?
No,
anything,
no.
With a picture on it?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Do you have an ID out of a state?
What does it matter if I have an ID?
Because it's policy for us when we get out and speak with somebody, we identify who they are, so that way we can add it to our CAD notes, so that way if something happens or if somebody wants to file a complaint or whatever, it makes it easier for our bosses to know who we got and spoke with.
Yeah, Lieutenant, I do have an ID.
Okay.
I don't have it on me, and I don't make it a habit. It's my policy not to identify myself.
Okay.
Unless I committed a crime, no. Or
it's not necessarily you committed a crime. Again, it's when we make contact with the public, we usually, well, I say usually, we always get a name, date of birth, some sort of identification for them, whether it be via citation if they've made a traffic stop, or they called us out there, or we get a call from, say, City Hall.
Yeah.
Says, hey, somebody's walking around out here looking suspicious, taking photos of people's cars, of their license plates, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and I understand your policy completely.
Right. So that policy is, I'm going to ask you for your identification. So if you don't have it on you, I need to get your name, date of birth then.
My policy is I don't identify myself unless you
then
suspected me.
I'm going to ask you to stop recording. I'm going to ask you to leave. And if you refuse to do that, then we'll take it up from the stuff from here. And
why would you stop me from recording?
Because there's no need for you to be out here then. You're on.
So
I understand it's government
so
property.
you're saying because I won't.
I'm asking you to leave. Is what I'm asking you.
Because I won't identify myself to you. You're saying that I cannot engage in my constitutionally protected activity. That's what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm asking you to leave. Is what I'm asking you.
But I have every right to be here. No.
Well, I have every right to ask you for your ID, but you don't want to give me that. So it's tit for tat.
But it's not a tit for tat.
Okay.
That's not very professional of you.
What was your name?
That's not very professional, sir.
What was your name?
Sir, I told you my policy is I don't.
Okay, what is your name?
Sir, I don't give my ID unless you
have
suspect me of committing a crime, sir.
All right, you can have a good day. Well, the crime would be I'm asking you for something which is a lawful order, and you're failing to obey that lawful order.
You need reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime that I'm committing or I'm about to commit in order to demand.
You just did by not giving me the information that I asked for.
That's not true.
Okay, I know who he is. He's one of these.
Just because I know the law, you know who I am.
All right.
Well, please.
One thing, if you want to look at the cars that are identifiably marked as police department.
So
by all means,
this Camry over here says law enforcement. Is that?
That's actually a personal tag.
So why does it say? Why would they do that? Preferential treatment.
Mississippi has law enforcement tags that actually sponsor law enforcement activities, i.e., the benevolence fund. So when a cop gets killed, their family has money that's given to them to help support them because they lost the income for.
I can respect that. Yeah.
That's what that tag's for.
Okay.
The only cars that you're going to be allowed to look at out in this lot are ones that are clearly marked as South Haven Police Department or have a government tag, like on my own marked unit that has a government tag. Outside of that, you cannot take pictures of those cars. You can't take pictures of the inside of those cars because that's private property. And by doing such, you are trespassing into that private property.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just telling you that's how it's going to work.
You can't trespass the eyes, and at the end of the day, If it's in public, I could see it. If you went up on a traffic stop and you're looking in somebody's, it's the
I'm
plain,
telling you right now,
it's
if
the
you
plain
keep
view
looking- you keep
doctrine.
looking
It's
at
the
these
plain,
cars.
it's the plain view doctrine, correct?
Plain
If
view.
you could see it, are you
What is
trespassing
your
into?
reasonable suspicion to be out here to look at that car?
Are you when
Tell
you
me
look
what
in
your-
when you're
tell
on a
me what
traffic
your-
stop, Lieutenant? Please, I'll let you talk. Can you let me talk?
I'll
When
listen to you.
when you're at a traffic stop and you're looking in somebody's car with your flashlight, do you have any reasonable suspicion or anything? No, because it's called the plain view doctrine. Anything you can see from public.
Right.
That's it. And if you see a drugs or a gun or a firearm
What's
from
the
plain
difference between you
view,
and me? What's the difference between you and me?
nothing really.
Is it not? Because I have this on here.
Yeah.
And it's also a safety
You have a
hazard
badge.
for me when I'm looking at that car, whether or not somebody's hiding in that back seat with a gun or an RPG or something to do something to me.
Yeah, it's-
You, on the other hand, have openly admitted you are a journalist out
Correct.
there getting B footage for something, but you're also doing that not on government property, not on government vehicles, but on personal vehicles.
But they're in
We have-
public.
we have-
They're in public.
But we have reasonable suspicion.
So you're going to go to
once we
Walmart and do the
stop
same thing? Are you going to Walmart and do the same thing?
Well, Walmart would be private property, sir. This is public property, sir. That's the difference. This is public property.
Well, I'm asking you not to look.
I understand
in my
I understand what you're
vehicle,
asking me, sir.
because
I
not every
understand.
vehicle out here is for an officer.
I
Some of these
understand
are
that.
public cars, the people that are up here that are filing complaints, legit complaints, that have emergencies or talking to us because something happened to them that involves the law enforcement needing to be there. So now you're taking a photo of a car that may belong to somebody that doesn't have anything to do with law enforcement outside of the contact that needs to be made with them.
You guys run plates all day. Anybody who's
And we have
parked
the
in
legal right to do that.
If I'm in Walmart, giving your example, if I'm in Walmart and I'm going inside of
Have a good
Walmart, I can see the plates from
a good
anywhere I
day.
can. Sir, I think you're being unreasonable.
I'm not.
You
I'm
are.
being very reasonable. I'm being very reasonable.
What you're trying to do is violate my constitutional rights, and I'm not going to let that happen here today.
There's no violation going here.
Okay,
And
great.
I'd like to know what you got a card so I can see what website you're going to post this to so I can watch it later.
No, you'll find it. I guarantee you. You'll be very much aware of
Okay.
where it's being posted to. Okay.
Okay. All right. Have a good day.
You guys can have a great day now.
Thanks.
Thank you. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. You should take that seriously. I'm one of those guys. One of those guys who knows the law. Do you see how they try and make it seem they can demand ID whenever they want? And to somebody who doesn't know their rights, and this is exactly why I make these kinds of videos, for somebody who doesn't know their rights, they would have, honestly, been intimidated by the lieutenant and the sergeant here, and they would have handed over their identification because it's a lawful order. Wrong. It's not a lawful order.
This auditor handled the situation like a pro. From the start, he knew exactly what his rights were, and no amount of intimidation was going to shake him. The cops tried their usual tactics, throwing around their so-called policy as if it overruled the Constitution. But he wasn't fooled for a second. He stood his ground, calmly and confidently, reminding them that their policies do not trump the law. It's a common theme in these encounters. Officers expect people to comply simply because they wear a badge. They rely on the average citizen not knowing their rights, hoping they'll just hand over ID without question. But this man wasn't about to fall for that. He knew they had no reasonable suspicion of a crime, and without that, they had no legal authority to demand anything from him. Instead of backing down, he turned the tables, educating them on the very laws they should already know. You could see the moment they realized they weren't dealing with just anyone. He was someone who knew exactly how to handle their tactics. And when they had nothing left to stand on, they had no choice but to leave, doing the classic walk of shame. The more citizens educate themselves, the less power these intimidation tactics will have. Respect to this man for staying firm and holding the line.